Good afternoon ค่ะ Seems like everyone's going to be online. This morning, I posted all your choices in Google Classroom. Please go ahead and take a look at your Google Classroom. I updated the study guides and add 5 more questions on the list. So let's have a look at it together. Here it is. Either you click on the file or take a look at the comment. They are the same, okay? The file and the things on the comment are the same. I added, like I said, 5 questions on the list. You only have to pick 2 questions, pick 2 essay questions. All right, now let's have a look at the new questions that I added this morning. Compare and contrast Americans and Chinese worldview. So basically, explain the 2 worldview, what they're thinking, what they're saying. And also, 2 keywords here that you need to discuss. The first one is individualism, and then collectivism. Individualism, like I said, it's the kind of concept that people are more interested in their own capability, more interested in their own benefits, right? They do not want to sacrifice things with others. They believe that if they can get strong first, or if they can get established first, they can help out the others later. If they are still vulnerable, still weak, they won't be able to help anyone. So that's not a good idea to be weak and help others. So get strong first before you can help others. That's the kind of American worldview. All right. I'd like for you to think of how this concept helped the Americans develop their own country. And also collectivism. Chinese worldview. For Chinese, when they do things, they do for others. They put others before them. Means they do things before their own interests. They do things for others first before doing things for their own interests. So I'd like for you to discuss how this kind of concept helped Chinese become world superpower. All right, that's question number 6. Question number 7. As I said, that I'd like for you to discuss if Thailand is a salad bowl or melting pot country. All right, salad bowl, a kind of country, or a kind of, let's say a kind of countries that there are several cultures appeared within the country, but we can distinguish which culture is which. Those cultures are not mixed, but melting pot cultures collide together, create a new culture. So with this question, come up with example to prove that Thailand is a salad bowl or Thailand is a melting pot. There's no right and wrong for this culture, for this question. I like to see your view about Thai culture. You can use those festivals, those traditions, those practices that we have as an example to prove if it is melting pot or salad bowl. All right. Now moving on to question number 8, migration. Tell me what migration is, right? Causes of migrations suggest for you to look at the push and pull factors. Both push and pull factors are things that cause people to migrate. Right? Sometimes difficulties in your areas is the only factor that push for you to migrate. But sometimes the attractiveness at the destination encourage you to migrate. Right? You don't really have a lot of difficulties here in life in your country, but then when you see other countries having better standard of living, more job opportunities, higher income offered to people, you might want to just move there. Even though you're not having any problem with your own country, but then you feel like other countries may give you better life. So causes of migrations refer to push and pull factors, and then migration theory. I'd like for you to take a look at what is the best migration theory that explain modern day labor migration. There are 5 theories. Let me point it out right now. It's on the slide. I'm going to cover those theories today. Where is it? Capture ค่ะ These are the 5 theories explain migration. In that particular question, based on your own opinion, which one of these that can be used to explain labor migration ค่ะ I'm going to cover that today. Move on. อุ้ยผิดอัน Number 9, the 2 case studies. Concept of optimum population. Remember, there's an issue of overpopulation, underpopulation. First, I'd like for you to explain what is concept of optimum population, and also talking about why is it bad for the area to be overpopulated. What kind of things that happen when the area is overpopulated? What kind of things that happen under in the area where there's underpopulated? What happened when we have a lot of people living in the area? What happened when we have less people living in the area? Number 10, when is the best time to use transmigration techniques? Think of Indonesia. Think of why the Indonesian government used transmigration techniques, right? Why? And then pretend that if you were an Indonesian government, how would you make these transmigrations become more successful? As I said, that the Indonesian government failed to reduce the numbers of population in the city because the people later on moved back into the city. The government encouraged people to move to those empty islands around the country, but turns out that things didn't work well. Things did not work well in those islands, so the people returned to the city. If you were the government, what would you do to make this plan become more successful? Strongly suggest to look at the problems that people experience in those islands. You got to fix those problems first to make the plan become more successful. So what kind of strategy would you use to make the plan become more successful? That's what I'm interested in, right? You can talk about the issues that cause difficulties. Okay, issue that cause difficulties in living life in the city. Like, for example, you can talk about job opportunities, access to basic needs, basic infrastructures. You can talk about homeless, poverty, and things like that. When these kind of things happen, we gotta use transmigration techniques to reduce the numbers of population in the area, make people scattered around. Okay ค่ะ That's all ค่ะ Now choose only 2 from these 10. Anyway, the whole lecture will be done within this class period. Everything that you need to know for the final will be finished within this class period. Next Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, we are going to have Q&A session. You can either choose to be online like this or choose to come on site. I will be here doing both online and on site, whichever you prefer. On Friday is another day that we can meet. You can choose to be online or you can choose to be on site. I will be here from 8 to 4. I will also be in the old building. We'll send you all the information where I will be in the group line. I cannot schedule rooms in this building. They all are occupied. I have to be in the old building, but I'll let you know the room numbers in case if you want to meet in person. But if you don't want to, then meet online. Both Wednesday and Friday, I will not take attendance because everything will be done today. And there's no more lecture after today. Everything's done. This is our last week of the term. So if you are okay with all the content, you think you can manage everything, then no need to come on Wednesday and Friday. All right. Just that I actually cancel a couple of classes. I need to make it up to you guys. And I made it in such a way that it can benefit you more. You can meet with me during that time, discuss about all your confusions for this class. All right. As I mentioned last class that you can discuss with me about the kind of content, the kind of example that you can put into your answer. I will not look at the whole essay that you show me. Don't show me the whole essay. Just show me some guideline, some outline that you want to put into your answer. All right. If you show me the whole essay, I will go ahead and grade your essay right away. And probably you won't get much. You won't get any comment from me. If you show the whole essay, that means you're doing the exam before time. And that's not fair. So I'm going to grade you right away. If you want to come talk to me, just make an outline so that we can discuss what to take out, what to plug in, things like that. It's not a require that you have to do this. Just that if you are not confident, if you're not certain about what you want to put in, you can come and consult with me. But if you think you're okay, that's fine. Stay home and study. That's all. I am going back to the lecture. Okay, one more time. If you choose the 12 value question, you have two options. If you choose that 12 value question, you have two options. First option, you mention all those 12 values, but provide only a few sentences for each value, maybe 2 to 3 sentences for each value. That's your first option. Your second option, pick the highlight, pick the highlight one. Let's say you may find 4 or 5 of them that are very interesting and you really want to talk in depth about it. You want to go into detail about it. Then pick only 4 or 5 and go into detail. You can break down into 4 paragraphs. Let's say if you choose 4 values to discuss in detail, then put in 4 different paragraphs and insert all the detail into it. 2 options. Either you talk it all or you pick just the highlight interesting one. That's all. Okay ค่ะพี่พูดถึงแมวทิ่มพอดกับสลัดโบไปยังแล้วนะ world wars and aftermath. Don't worry about it. Just too much info. Now, the 5 theories here. The first one, let's say these are the migration theories. Think of what is the base one that we can use to describe labor migration. All right. The first one, neoclassical economic theory. Based on this theory, it explained that we are living in the world of inequality. Within our countries, the size of the economies can be various, one province to another, which means that even within our own country, the major city have larger size of economy than smaller city. And at the global scale, each country have different sizes of the economy. The differences in size of the economy influence wages to be different. All right. It means that if you are working in Bangkok, being a server, you may get more paid. You may get up to 30,000 baht per month. But doing the same job, living in a smaller city, which has a smaller size of the economy, you get paid less by doing the same job. If you are a server living in Roi Et, you probably get about 10,000 baht or less for being a server doing the same job, right? So this theory explained that the inequality occurred everywhere. And this inequality in economy is what caused wages to be different. Countries to countries, cities to cities. All right. By having this kind of inequalities, the migrations will always continue to increase. People are going to move from the area where wages are low to the areas where wages are higher. That's all for this theory. Mainly focus on inequality in economy that cause wages to be different. And it means that people are always going to move from the area where wages are low to the area where wages are higher. Moving on to the next theory. Dual labor market theory. Hang on นะคะ Dual labor market theory เดี๋ยว let me show you. Dual labor market theory. Stop the slide ละ This theory focus on migration. At the developed countries, migration at the developed countries. At the developed countries, they practice both primary economic activities and secondary economic activities. If we look at agricultural sector in the developed countries, most of the productions are done by the machine. However, there's only one part of agriculture that require manpower, which is the picking, the harvesting. So when it comes to watering the plants, feeding the animals, giving the fertilizers, all things are done by the machine. One person can operate all the productions by using the machine. But when it comes to harvesting, collecting the fruits, harvesting the vegetable, collecting the animals and things like that, it requires human power, human skill, to take care of those harvesting. So the developed countries, they have demand for laborers from less developed countries to work in agricultural sector during the harvesting season. They do not require high-skilled labor. They only want unskilled labor to come and help manage this harvesting. All right. In the industrial sector, hold on, not yet. In agricultural sector, in developed countries, they also have tiny demand for skilled labor to work in agricultural sector. And most skilled labor would be the one that operate the machine. But the majority, they need unskilled labor to operate things. And to not operating, to harvest things. In the industrial sector, in developed countries, same. All things are done by the machine. They only need minor manpower to take care of manual work, like for example, cleaning, moving things around in the factories. And they need the manpower. They need unskilled labor, right? Developed countries, they have enough skilled labor that can help them drive the economic growth, but what they need is unskilled labor. Right? Last one นะคะ the theory explained that the reason why there's a demand for skilled labor to the developed country is because most of the people in the developed country look down on manual jobs, look down on agricultural jobs and factory jobs. Nobody wants to work and provide manual labors for living. So they look down on these jobs, and that's called the labor shortage. That's why there's a big migration from the less developed countries to more developed countries. Moving on to the next one. New economics, labor migration. ครับนะคะมีแชร์ New economic labor migration right here ค่ะ New economic labor migration. This theory explains that when a person decides to move to a new destination, usually it is not only a person reason or a person decision. Okay? It's not only a one person decision. Mostly it's the whole family decision that push for a person to migrate. One more time ค่ะ This theory explains that when people migrate to a new destination, usually it is not their own decision alone. It is not their own reason alone. Usually the whole family reasons. Your siblings have reasons. Your parents have reasons. Your uncles, your aunt have reasons for you to move to another destination to earn living. That's the case. It's not like you sitting down and you realize that, well, I should move to America because I want to have better job, because I want to be living in a fancy city. Usually that's not the case. Usually when you decide to move, you take other people in your family's reason as your considerations. Oh, my dad need money for healthcare. My mom, she's been working so hard. Her body's weak. I want her to rest. I want her to live good life. My sisters, my brothers, they don't have enough money to go to good schools. My aunt, my uncle, So you take all those reasons as your responsibility to care for. Then you move to make good livings and send the money back to your family. Now the key word here is the remittance. That's the second important thing that this theory mentioned. นี่นะคะ I sent the word into the chat box. This theory also explained that here ค่ะ New economic labor migration. This theory explained that the remittance money is the money that sent back to the family to improve future human resource, to help improve future human resource. It means that if you sacrifice yourself, you move to a new destination, earn your living and send the money to support your families. It means that your siblings, your brothers and sisters will be able to get into good schools and will automatically become skilled laborers in the near future. So once your siblings become skilled labor, they can find job easily, they can make good livings, and there's no need for them to migrate anymore. Okay? After they become skilled labor, they can work and earn living in their own area. So no need for them to migrate. This theory explains that this remittance money can help reduce future migrations because the human resource will be improved. They can remain in their own country. Migration will reduce, okay, based on this theory. Moving on to the next theory. Relative deprivation theory. Relative deprivation theory. This theory explains that migration causes imitation. Migration causes imitation. Yeah, hang on. Neighbor. Based on this theory, it explained that if someone in the community is sent to a new destination and live good life, the person will send the remittance money back to support the family. The financial situation for the whole family will improve. This caused the neighbors to imitate or to do the same. They will also send one of their family members abroad in order to to earn better livings, hoping that that person will send the remittance money back to support the family. One more time นะคะ This theory explains that if one family in the community sends someone to work abroad, definitely that person that move abroad will send the money to support the family back home. So the family will have better financial situation, more money coming in. All right. So other families in the community will look and will see that, you know what? Look at that family. They send someone to work abroad and the person send the money back. Look at how they are. They're having, better financial situations. Maybe we should send someone in our family to work abroad too. This will, like I said, successful migration will cause imitations among the neighbors. There will be more people that send the money. There will be more people that send their members to work abroad. The second part of this theory explained that at the beginning of migration, there will be a severe gap between the rich and the poor occurred in the community. One more time. At the beginning, the migration will cause gap between the rich and the poor. The gap between the rich and the poor will appear more. Think of it this way. When everyone in a community is poor, nobody envy anyone. They are all poor. No problem. No gap between the rich and the poor because everyone poor, they are in the same level. But when we send someone to work abroad, the person send the money to support the family. So one family could become wealthier. Okay, could be addressed as a rich family. This again, we now have rich family and the rest are poor. That's why I said the first stage of migration may cause gap between the rich and the poor. Someone may automatically become rich, but the rest will still be poor. Now we have rich and poor exist all together in the community. The next part of the theory explained that in the long run, the rich and the poor gap, the gap between the rich and the poor will disappear. And everyone will be equal with one another again. Now, how are they, let's say, why and how are they becoming equal with one another again in the long run? What's going to happen is that when more families send their members to work abroad, more families will have more income coming in. Those families that send the siblings or members to work abroad will have better financial status. They will have more power to invest. They will have more power to spend. Let's say before you send your family off to work, you probably only had one potential to purchase the product. Let's say you could only purchase 1 bar of soap per week. That's all money you had, 1 bar of soap per week. But after you receive the remittance money, you receive the money that's sent from abroad, you're doing better. Instead of you buying 1 bar of soap, now you buy a dozen bar of soap, 10 bars of soap, 12 bars of soap. You have more potential to purchase the products. Okay. Now, from the shop standpoint, in the past, they made very small profit because customer can only buy 1 bar of soap per week. But now customer is doing well. They purchase 10 bars of soap, 12 bars of soap. It means that the shopkeepers can make more profit. When the shopkeepers make more profit, the shopkeeper can expand the stores, expand the business. When the shopkeeper expand the business, it means that the shopkeeper may need to hire someone to help with the stores. It means there will be more jobs opportunities for people in the community. At the same time, the families that send someone to work abroad may feel very comfortable with their financial situation and may want to invest in some businesses. Let's say they may want to open a restaurant. When they open a restaurant, they need more jobs. Someone, no, not need more jobs. They need more workers to work for them. There will be more job opportunities for the people in the community when someone invests in business. Opening a restaurant, not only that, they require workers, they require raw materials, they require for the restaurant to be constructed. It means that the money will be distributed throughout the community. More people will have access to income, access to the money. In a way, the remittance money is not being used by the family only. It is distributed throughout the whole community. Think of it this way. If your family send your brother to work abroad, your brother send probably, let's say, $1 million back to the family. So you feel more comfortable with this $1 million. You buy more products. Those stores, they make profit. They can expand their business. And the money that you have, you feel like, man, I feel a lot better with my money. So I'm going to open a stores. So you open a restaurant. You need to hire a chef. You need to hire servers. You need to build a restaurant. Pay for the contractor to come and build your restaurant. You need raw materials. You need the food, right? So the farmers will also have access to money from your restaurant. It means that the remittance money is not for only one family. It will be distributed throughout the community. There will be more job opportunity, more access to income for people. So eventually, migration will reduce. That's what this theory explains. Migration will reduce because everyone will have more job, okay, more money, more job, more money. And inequality, the gap between the rich and the poor that happened earlier, will reduce. Everyone will, raise their standard of living. They will always, they will move up to the same level. So no more gap between the rich and the poor. Everyone will be in the same level. That's what this theory is explained. Moving on,นะคะ, to the next theory, world system theory. Based on world system theory, it explained that the migrations that are happening right now somewhat is a reflection of the colonization period. One more time. The modern day migrations that are happening right now is a reflection or caused by the colonizations in early period, roughly 18th century. Another word to say, people are moving from one country to another country. This is because of the things that happen during the colonization in early period. I'm going to use example of Southeast Asian countries. Several countries in Southeast Asia have been colonized by England. England is one of the big market. They have a lot of people who have potential to consume products. People who are willing to pay for expensive and luxury products. very big, very high consumptions in England. Everyone wants to sell products to England because when they buy the products, they buy in large quantity and they are not so picky about the prices of the product. So everyone aims to sell products to England. Now, England used to be colonizers. They occupy many countries around the world. But recent years, they have realized that they've done a lot of bad things to their former colonies. They've done a lot of bad things to African people, African countries, Asian people, Latin America and all. They felt regret about what they have done. All right. So they wanted to give back to those countries that they used to destroy. They wanted to befriend, give back, pay back to those countries that they destroyed. Also, after long time colonization, what I'm saying is like after they colonize those colonies for a long period of time, the British, they got so attached to those colonies. They learned more about those colonies' culture, learn more about those people' way of life. You know, they've been with one another for decades. So they kind of, basically, they kind of attached to one another, kind of understand one another and became closer to one another. So the British, when it comes to trading or purchasing the international products, they often look at their own former colonies first before they look at any other countries. Like, for example, England colonized Malaysia, Singapore, Burma, all right, as an example. But when it comes to purchasing the products from these regions, the British prefer to deal with Malaysia or Singapore because they have made a lot of relationships, have made a lot of friendships with Malaysia and Singapore. They kind of know how Singaporean people are, how the Malaysian people are, and things like that. So Malaysia and Singapore have better opportunities to do trade with England, better opportunity to do trade with England more than any other countries in the region. The British signed long-term contract with Malaysia and Singapore. Long-term contract that they're going to buy rubber, rice, tropical fruits from the two countries here. So for Malaysia and Singapore, they thought that, wow, that's a great opportunity. England is a big consumer country. If we can sign long-term contract with these countries, we can make big profit. It will help improve our economy. My point is, when the former colonies and colonizers are making good relationship with one another like that, there's a possibility that the colonies, the former colonies' economy could improve faster, or the economy of the former colonies could expand larger. Think of it this way. Southeast Asian countries, we are mostly producing the same type of products. We all produce rice, rubber, palm oil, tropical fruits, seafood, and all. But when the British only signed contract with Malaysia and Singapore. That means only Malaysia and Singapore have an access to big market. British will not buy products from Thailand, Cambodia, okay, and Vietnam and all, because they are not close to one another and they don't have contract with one another. So only Malaysia and Singapore will have their economy improved, but any other countries around won't have access to market and might not be able to expand their economy. The size of those countries' economies will be very small. It means that the people in those countries will not have job opportunities, will not have reasonable access to income. When those people in Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, Burma look at their life, their standard of living, compare with the people in Malaysia and Singapore, they may find out that, well, look at Singaporeans, look at Malaysians, they're doing so well. There are job opportunities over there, more income over there. So these will cause the people from other countries in the area to migrate to Malaysia and Singapore. Migration will increase. Roughly speaking, this theory explains that when those developed countries, those former colonizers have long-term contracts or have big demand for products from their own former colonies, their own former colonies will have better economy, while other countries around may not have good economy, may not be able to sell their products. Remember that they are producing pretty much the same thing. One country can sell their products, but one country cannot. They don't have market share. So when they cannot sell their products, people have less income. The neighboring countries' people will move to a countries that have larger economic size. Migration will increase. First part of this theory. Second part of this theory explain that developed countries usually have big demand for cheap products from less developed countries. One more time, this is the second part of the theory. It explains that the developed countries usually have big demand for cheap products from less developed countries. The demand for cheap products from less developed, the demand for cheap products from the less developed countries cause the less developed countries to fasten their productions. What I'm saying is that those European countries, North American countries, they have big demand to purchase the products from Africa, from Asia, from Latin America. This demand push for those less developed countries to fasten their productions. When those less developed countries fasten their productions, it means that they need more laborers. There will be job opportunities for people who live in the less developed countries. Let's assume this way. You are a factory owner living in Thailand, and all of a sudden there's a big demand from the developed countries. They want metric tons of your products. You have to produce fast. You have to feed their needs. So the capacity of your production, you won't be able to produce enough to satisfy them. So you have to expand your factory, hire more people to help you produce. Ended up that you creating more job opportunities for people in your country. because you have to fasten your production. All right. So to summarize, the demand for cheap products from the developed countries. One more time นะคะ the demand for cheap products from the developed country เดี๋ยว I'll say another word otherwise you'll confuse the demand for cheap products let me type ดีกว่าโอเคจบ The demand for cheap products by the developed countries caused the less developed countries to fasten their productions. This caused the less developed countries to hire more people to help them produce. It means that there will be more job opportunities for the people in less developed countries. So the people in less developed countries no longer have to migrate from their own country to developed country anymore. So migration will reduce. It reduced because of the demand for cheap products from the developed country. โอเคค่ะ That's one thing that I'd like to point out. Highlight it. That's one thing I'd like to point out. Based on this theory, it explained that the developed countries have big demand for cheap products from less developed countries. This is an illusion for the less developed country. One more time นะคะ Listen to this carefully. I'll try to slow down. Many less developed countries are now having illusion created by the developed countries. Less developed countries are having illusion caused by the developed countries. The developed countries are now having demand for cheap products. They want the less developed country to produce cheap products for them. So they make a big order to those countries. Less developed countries thought that, wow, look at those demand. The buyers, they want a lot of product from us. This year, we have super high productivities. We exporting a lot of stuff to developed countries. Our economy is doing so well. This is an illusion. We thought we are doing so well because we export a lot of things to developed countries. We did not look at what we imported from those developed countries. If we look at what we imported, we will find out that we lost trade balance and our economy is not doing well. The amount of export is just an illusion. It makes us feel that we are doing well. Make us feel like our economy is doing well. Guys, take a look at Thailand as an example. We export a lot of rice products, agricultural products, the sheep products, the shoe, the clothes, the hats and all. But look at what we purchase back. Look at what we import. We import technological products from those countries. We bought planes. We bought weapons. We bought submarine tank, submarine, whatever. We bought all kinds of expensive things from those countries. Yes, we are not buying in quantities. We only purchase a few things here and there. But when you look at the cost of the submarine, that's millions of baht that we spend. One piece of products, one piece of the submarine is equal the rice productions that we produce for 5 years or 10 years. That's why I said, don't look at what you export. It cannot tell how well your economy is doing. It's also important to look at what you spend, what you import in. The government always talk about what we export, how much income we make. Hardly that they ever talk about how much we spend or what we bought. Most of the time, when we purchase things, it's done secretly. Like when the government sign off the document for the military to purchase all those weapons. Most of the time, it's in secret. We don't really know. We don't really see it. Right. One thing that I just wanted to point out. Moving on,ค่ะ. Illegal immigrants. Now we are going to be looking at the terms,นะคะ. Illegal immigrants refer to people who cross the borders into the destination country without having any permit or carrying any identification document. They are invisible in the destination country. They do not have any rights to be in the destination countries. At the same time, their rights are not protected by laws in the destination countries. Thai laws do not protect those illegal immigrants that live in Thailand. The Burmese, the Laos, the Cambodians. Thai laws do not protect them. They are on their own. They are not visible here. They not appear here in the system. They have to find their way to live life. Most of the time when it's so difficult to live life, they tend to commit crimes. So a lot of the time, illegal immigrants cause high income rates at the destination countries. Moving on, the rest,นะคะ, I'm going to go fast. The keyword here, forced migration, as I said, it refers to people who are forced to migrate somewhere, okay, to migrate to the new destination. 3 types of forced migration. Conflict-induced displacement, development-induced displacement, disaster-induced displacement. This is a good piece of information. If you could apply this piece of information into any question about migration, that's great. First, conflict-induced displacement. Conflict-induced displacement refer to type of people who experience life-threatening situations in their own origin. For example, their community or their area is at war, political war, religious war, ethnic conflicts, or things like that, terrorism. cause their life to be at threat. They might have their life taken away or something like that. These are kind of things that cause people to move to another destination. Mostly conflict-induced displacement associated with international migration. International migration. The people who are forced to migrate will automatically be described as either refugees or asylum seekers. Either refugees or asylum seekers. Their rights will be protected by humanitarian laws, international laws, human rights laws. There are tons of organizations that help support the refugees and asylum seekers. However, this type of migration is temporary migration. People will move to a new destination and stay there for temporarily for a certain period of time. After the situation at the destination is, after the situation at the origin region is settled, these refugees will be pushed to return home. But with the asylum seekers, more likely they tend to stay at the destination. But the refugees, they return home. That's all. Moving on to the next type, development-induced displacement refer to people who force to migrate to a new destination. Mostly, they associate with domestic migration. Domestic migration. People are forced to move because of the government development project. For example, government may want the area to build a dam, the area to build a road, the area to build the infrastructure. So people are forced to move where else. These people are considered as victims, not the refugees. hang onนะคะ Okay. หลุดเลย just important message anyway they are just classified as victims. They're not refugees. When they are just victims, they do not have access to a lot of help from other organizations, right? They are just being protected by national laws. Just being protected by national laws. So if some of their rights have been violated, they will have to look at the laws and see which part of the national laws that protect them, right? Mostly, they have to fix their own problems. However, some of these victims, after they are being pushed to migrate where else, they may have more difficulties in life. They might not be able to make it. They might not be able to be comfortable like what they used to be. For example, if you were living in Salaya and you own 1 acre of land, and all of a sudden the government said, well, we need this area to turn into a dam. We are going to pay for your compensation, pay for your loss. We need your land, but we're going to pay at the minimum rate, the average cost. You have to find a new land on your own. It doesn't matter where you want to move to, but we need the land here. We're going to pay for the cost of the land. So you may get about $1 million to reestablish somewhere else. With $1 million, you might not be able to buy the same amount of land that you used to own, because cost of the land where else can be expensive. With $1 million, you can probably buy half of an acre at the new destination. Okay, half an acre. And you also have to invest in building new home that could cost more money. Ended up that you may be in debt. The money that the government pay for your loss earlier is not enough for you to reestablish at a new place. Plus, the size of the land that you own in a new destination is lesser. It means that you might not be able to have the same income like what you used before. In Salaya, when you own 1 acre of land, you probably earn about $1 million per year. But when you move somewhere else, you only have half an acre. That means you may have only 500,000 baht as your income per year. So your income may reduce by 50%. The 50% of income that you lost is a big portion. The money that you receive may not allow you to sustain your life or live good life at all. So you are going to automatically become a long-term victim. You're not getting help from anyone else, and you cannot go back to the government and ask for more, right? Long-term victims, but you are not a refugee. Moving on to the next one, disaster-induced displacement. This happened when the natural disaster happened, like earthquake, typhoon, hurricane happen. You will automatically become the victim. This type of migration is a domestic migration. But when it comes to natural disasters like this, the victim have more access to help from non-profit organizations. There are quite a few non-profit organizations that help out the people. So they are doing better than the second type, the development-induced displacement. They're doing better. Natural disasters, people tend to feel sorry for what happened to them. They lost their property, they lost lives and things like that. So they receive a lot of help, but they will still be considered as the victims, not exactly refugees. Moving on,ค่ะ. Refugees already mentioned it. Asylum seekers mentioned it. This is just the name of the people who experience wars and conflicts, displacement, right? Development displacement, same thing. Just this is how we call a type of the people. That's all. Smuggle ค่ะ two words here and traffic. Smuggle and traffic. Smuggle refers to people who transport anything illegal into the destination countries. Things will be considered, or objects would be considered as legal or illegal, depends on the national laws of the destination countries. For example, marijuana used to be illegal in Thailand. So anyone that carry marijuana into Thailand, that person is a smuggler. You smuggling things illegal with you when you enter the country. But now, when marijuana is legal, it is legalized. So if you transport marijuana into Thailand, you will be called as the visitors. You're not doing anything wrong. You are not committing any crimes or doing anything illegally. So the products that you carry or the objects that you carry into the country is going to be legal or illegal, depends on the national laws. If it is, it will address clearly if certain product is legal or illegal. Another way to define if a person is a smuggler or not, we look if a person carry any products into the countries without paying custom tax to the destination country. For example, if you travel to Europe, you purchase Chanel bag Prada, Louis Vuitton, and all. Okay. When you enter Thailand, you are not paying custom tax. You are a smuggler. You smuggling illegal products into the country because you're not paying taxes. But if you pay taxes, you are just a returning tourist. You are not considered as smuggler. So smuggler will be looked at into situation if you are carrying any object addressed in law as illegal objects or not, or if you are carrying some things without paying taxes to the destination country or not. That's all. Now, people. Traffic people are the victims. They are being fooled, F-O-L-L, being lured, being fooled or being lured by someone to enter the destination countries for various purposes. For example, a lot of Thai women are being fooled, being lured by the work agencies in Korea, in Japan, that, hey, if you go to work in Korea, in Japan, you'll be working in a restaurant, you will be working in the agricultural field. You will make good money, you will have good life, you will have a lot of money sent back home. But once a person gets to the destinations, they will be forced to work in different types of job. Like, for example, some of the women who have good looking, they will be forced to become sex workers in Korea or in Japan. If they are not good looking, or if they are men, they would be forced to work in factories and work longer hours, pay less. They're not allowed to go home. They're not allowed to go out and things like that. So the traffic people, they are lured, they are fooled to be at the destination and be forced to work in different fields that they are not being informed in advance. That's all. Done for everything. If you are okay, you can leave. If you like to talk to me about the questions or anything like that, let me know.